What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Oh, what a day. 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 Uh if you well you would have to know. I mean, there's no way you don't know what the verdict is. But the verdict came in today for Diddy. He was found guilty of only 2 counts out of the 5, and that was for the transportation uh, to engage in the oldest profession in the world. And he was found not guilty of RICO, and he was found not guilty of S trafficking. So where are we now? Where we are now is that the prosecutor, the government, and the defense attorneys have submitted letters to the judge to determine if Diddy can get out today on bail. His defense attorneys would like for him to be released today, and they would like for it to happen like quick order, and that is until his sentencing occurs. The prosecutor, the government is opposed to that. They want him to remain incarcerated. I can tell you the words that were used by the USA attorney Comey after all of this went down. I could tell from reading her words how heated she was on how this turned out. And so we're going to see, I believe at 5 o'clock, they are expected to come back into court, and the judge will let us know if he's going to let Diddy go home under certain conditions until the sentencing for the 2 charges he was convicted of, or if he has to remain incarcerated. I think at this point, Diddy has been incarcerated. Is it a little bit over a year, maybe? A little bit over a year. So it's going to be interesting at 5 o'clock. The crowd outside of the court room has literally, I think, like grown in size. If Diddy gets out today, it is going to be a madhouse outside of that courtroom for sure. So some other things that and the reason why I popped on, because of course I'll be here around 5 o'clock, is that pending the possible release of Diddy, some folks have written some letters. Okay, we got Deonte Nash who's written a letter. We have also Cassie's attorney who has written a letter and included a comment by her. And of course, we have the thank you for the comment, Callie. I see where you have dirty money, LOL. Yeah. I can't post the other comment you just left, although I do agree with you. I just can't, I don't know what YouTube does with that. But I hear you. They are definitely going to be Harlem shaking outside the courthouse. These people who are out there, who are the supporters, and Diddy has always had supporters on this case. He has always had supporters. They are out there. I think they're fired up. It's going to be something. Hopefully they have extra police. But back to the so nothing gets out of hand. So back to the matter at hand. I don't see where we have the prosecutor's letter, what they wrote, but we definitely have the letter that was written by the defense team, and it was really, really brief. It was really, really brief, much briefer than the letter that Deonte Nash wrote. And if you don't remember Deonte Nash, he was one of the assistants, more so an assistant to Cassie, who testified about getting her ready for, I can't remember if it was for the Cannes Film Festival or whatever. He was getting ready for her to take a trip, I think actually to OVO Fest. I think this is where she was going when Diddy came in there and showed his ass. That's Deonte Nash. He has written a very long letter to say Diddy should not be able to go home today. And so we're going to take a look at these letters, but the court is supposed to reconvene at 5 to make a decision on whether or not Diddy should be released today on bail. Um, I think it's a good chance that he's going to go home today. And I am going to tell you right now, out of all the scenarios, all the guessing, all the what could happen today, I never thought that there was any possibility that I would be on this mic talking about there's a possibility that Diddy could be going home today. I never thought there would be a full acquittal. I thought they were going to find him. The jury was going to find him guilty of the trafficking charge against Cassie, especially with the questions or the additional information they asked for. That didn't happen. But in no scenario in my head did I imagine that we will be talking about Diddy potentially going home today at 5:00. Just, yeah. So let's take a quick look at these letters that have been written. And, one thing about the government, and especially Comey, who's the lead attorney on the government side, this is where it is very important. It is very important. This is something that, another scenario, of course, but this is something that Drake never learned. It's important to know how to accept an L. You know what I mean? Not knowing how to take an L can sometimes become a bigger problem than the actual L itself. So I feel like that's what the government is doing. They are spiraling right now because they can't believe this verdict turned out the way it did. And if they felt that way on the SA charge regarding Cassie, I'll shoot them some bail on that. But the RICO charge, you overcharged this man. You should have never brought a RICO charge to begin with. So it's just like, I can't have any, stop showing out, stop having a tantrum, stop flailing about. It was ridiculous. Okay, it was, I don't even know what I said, Carol. You said, that's Bucker. I don't even know what I said. But it was ridiculous for them to think that this RICO charge was going to go down. Most of us knew what RICO. We kept asking. What is the criminal enterprise? We can be down with, okay, he kidnapped Capricorn Clark. I pretty much believe that. I believe he did that. He bribed a security guard in order to get the videotape, and he thought he had the only video. Yep, I believe he definitely did it. That's 2 acts right there. But now for me to say, okay, those are 2 predicate acts. See all these terms now, we don't have no business knowing what predicate act means. I'm not a lawyer. But listening to all this mess, now I know what it means. Okay. So we get to check the box on 2 predicate acts under the RICO charge. But it still has to mean that these predicate acts were in support of a criminal enterprise. We never saw that. And evidently, the jury never saw that either. What is the criminal enterprise? So the defense attorney wrote to the judge and said, "Dear Judge, Mr. Combs moves for release on appropriate conditions pursuant to," and then there's some code there, "pending his sentencing proceeding. Given the jury's clear verdict acquitting Mr. Combs of the RICO conspiracy and sex trafficking counts, continued detention of Mr. Combs is inappropriate. As these proceedings have demonstrated, and as we told the court from the outset of the case," the defense is that, "We told you before you even went down this road, Comey. We already told you. What you coming up in here with this RICO for? Now you know you overcharging. What kind of RICO? How you gonna try to twist into a pretzel to make this thing here RICO? You know this is not a RICO case. What are you talking about?" But nevertheless, let me get back to the letter. The defense attorney says, "As these proceedings have demonstrated, and as we told the court from the outset of this case, Mr. Combs came to New York to surrender in order to defend against the government's charges because he was," quote, "committed to showing his innocence," unquote. Docket 13 at 1. Since his arrest and detention on September 17th, 2024, okay, it hasn't quite been a year that he's been in there, Mr. Combs has obeyed the court. respected these proceedings, and demonstrated model behavior at the MDC. And today, the jury unambiguously rejected the government's allegations that Mr. Combs ran a years long criminal enterprise or engaged in sex trafficking. The core, oh my, where did I go? Okay, the core of the government's case. Mr. Combs stands convicted of 2 Mann Act counts, and his sentencing exposure is substantially lower than when the government initially sought detention. The court should release Mr. Combs on the proposed conditions. And from what I understand, he is willing to put up $1 million, which of course, you know, it's nothing to Diddy. I saw something about his mom willing, I guess, like to kind of sign on as some type of bond or whatever. And someone else, I guess, just saying, you know, he's not going to go anywhere. They still have agreed to, of course, turn over their passports. So all of that being said, I think Diddy has a really, really, really good chance of getting out today. But of course, the letters didn't stop there. We've now had another person to write a letter. And that letter comes from Deonte Nash. And Deonte had a lot to say. Deonte had a lot to say. So let me just share my screen so we can hop over here and see what all Deonte thought we needed to know. Okay. And I feel a little bit of like, y'all gonna have to get over it, because at the end of the day, how do you express to the judge, please keep us safe and keep the man in jail, if the man wasn't found guilty of the serious charges? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the judge thinks about that. All right. So Deonte Nash says, I am writing to express my grave concern over the prospect of Sean Combs being released from custody. While I appreciate the fairness you have shown throughout this proceeding, Judge, I feel compelled to be unequivocal about the danger he poses to the public and to the individuals who have risked everything by coming forward. Now, Deonte, when you took the stand, Deonte, there was no guarantee that when you took the stand that Diddy would be convicted. You can't, the person gets acquitted of the most serious charges, and then you write to the judge and basically say, hey, I put myself out there. Me and some other people, we really put ourselves out there to testify. And now this jury then went and found this damn man not guilty, and I'm scared, and I need you to keep him in jail, even though he was found not guilty. Is that what you're asking the judge to do? Well, we'll see how the judge processes this. Mr. Combs has a long, well-documented history of violent, coercive, and retaliatory behavior. Over the years, he has repeatedly escaped meaningful accountability, and each time this has only reinforced his sense of impunity. Who wrote this for Deonte? Who wrote this? Because I'm feeling some lawyerish vibes in this letter. If he is released now, I have no doubt he will see it as yet another license to continue intimidating, threatening, and harming people who challenge or expose him. You know what, Deonte? You might damn sure be right. You might be right. I was going to do a whole video. I may still do it. I don't know. I was going to do a whole video. I did all of my research, just going through a list. And some of the some of the events not necessarily all that well known. Some of them are. Of major things that have happened to Diddy where he's gotten out of it and it didn't seem to change his behavior. So Deonte, when you say in this letter, if he is released now, I have no doubt he will see it as yet another license to continue intimidating, threatening, and harming people who challenge or expose him. Maybe. But the bottom line is he was acquitted of the most serious charges. So I don't know what movie you're in, but okay. We're going to see, though, if Diddy changes his behavior. But we're going to see. If we go by how he's gotten out of big things before, the odds are not in his favor. But I'm hoping he gets his shit together. But we'll see. Okay, Deonte continues in his letter. Many of us have firsthand knowledge of the fear he instills in those around him, I can say without hesitation that he is a serious and immediate threat to victims, witnesses, in the broader community. He was acquitted. Y'all, he was, you writing this to the judge like he was found guilty of the most. He's not. Okay, okay, I'll continue. His pattern of violence, particularly while engaged in the trafficking, he was found not guilty of the trafficking. How do you write a letter to the judge saying, "Hey, judge, 5 o'clock, don't let that nigga." Oh, did I say that? I don't even know if YouTube wants me to say that. Don't let that ninja out at 5 o'clock. He's dangerous. I done got on this stand and risked everything up here. You know, Cassie, my girl, and everything. Y'all finna let him out at 5 o'clock. I'm scared. Don't do it. His pattern of violence, particularly while engaged in the trafficking of individuals for prostitution, combined with unchecked substance abuse, makes it clear that he is not ready to re-enter society safely or responsibly. Well, the jury disagrees. The jury disagrees. The jury disagrees. To release Mr. Combs without substantial consequence would undermine the integrity of this process. Deonte, Deonte, stand down. Because I don't know who you got to write this up. What lawyer wrote this for you? Are you trying to come? I don't get this letter. I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay. Let me continue. That wealth and influence can shield someone indefinitely from accountability. It will also endanger those who cooperated with this investigation under subpoena, who are already living in fear of retaliation. Deonte, come here. Deonte, you went up there. You did what you thought. Hopefully that what you said in your testimony, though, that you didn't want to be there, you were subpoenaed. When you go up there and you're subpoenaed and you testify, they are not guaranteeing you that things are going to go in the way that you want it to go. Even if this was, because you know they were trying to make Diddy out like he was a mafia boss. So let's go with it. Okay, Godfather of Harlem. Oh my God. Okay, let's go with it. Okay. There's no guarantee when you go up there and you testify against the Godfather of Harlem, Deonte, that he is going to get convicted. And if he doesn't get convicted, the judge can't then, out of your fear, decide to hold him in jail. You're going to have to give him some other reasons why he should be held in jail based on the charges that he's been convicted of. Deonte? And I agree with you, Kyle. I believe he is terrified. I believe he is terrified, and I don't think all these big words are his. I digress. He says, I urge you in the strongest possible terms to prioritize the safety of victims and witnesses over any consideration of leniency. The jury said that y'all weren't the victims. The jury said y'all came forward and that's all good and stuff, but as far as trafficking and RICO, we say not guilty. That's what the jury said. That's what we have to go by. Okay? Mr. Combs has had countless opportunities to change. That is true, Deonte. I don't know if that matters in this situation. He's also considered a first-time offender. So, countless opportunities to change it. Okay, I agree with you on that. And he has chosen instead to escalate his harmful conduct. I would actually agree with you on that too. Allowing him back into the community now would be a profound mistake. Well, Deonte, he coming. If he doesn't even come today at 5 o'clock, you better believe he's coming. And I know Deonte is writing this letter like he is in an episode of The Purge. Okay? He is writing this letter like if you let Diddy out at 5, it's gonna feel like The Purge. I am not gonna have nowhere to be safe. How could you do this to me after I got on the stand and testified and y'all subpoenaed me and made me come to this shit and I didn't even want to come to this shit in the first place. And now y'all finna let this ninja out? Oh, Deonte. Well, Deonte, where you live? I think well, it really doesn't matter. Diddy supposedly, if he's released, is supposed to be at his Miami home. I think Deonte lives in California, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that'll bring you some peace, Deonte. Okay. So Deontay closes his letter by saying, "Thank you for your time and for your commitment to protecting the public from those who repeatedly see you see that you see what he's trying to do in there. Now he's trying to use psychology on the judge. They trying to use psychology. He said, "Thank you for your time and for your commitment to protecting the public." Because I know you're gonna do right. I know y'all didn't get me up in here forcing me to testify up in here in this shit right here now. And y'all finna let this man out. I know y'all not gonna do that. I know you are committed to protecting the public. And Deonte, I am the public from those who repeatedly demonstrate they are unwilling to respect the law. I agree with you again, Deonte. Diddy has shown repeatedly that he is unwilling to respect the law. I agree with you 10 toes down. I would even go a bit further, Deonte, and say I agree that Diddy is a horrible person. I agree with you on that. But what I gotta tell you, Deonte, I know you're scared. I know. I don't know. Maybe you can. Cassie got a lot of money. I know y'all still close right now, so maybe she can like get you out the country for a little bit, maybe help ease your nerves. I don't think they're going to keep Diddy in jail too long because of your fear about the things that are associated with the charges that he was actually found not guilty of. I don't think it's gonna work that way. You know, and I agree with this as well, Kelly, that Diddy is a demon, but they couldn't prove it. That you are absolutely right. Because I could tell you one thing: as this trial went on from beginning to end, I was like, "Whoa, this man is." We knew he was always something anyway, just because of how he did as artist and things we heard. But then we learned so much more during this trial, and I'm like, "Oh, he wild now. He needs to go. He is evil as hell." That was my take on it. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to prove what you charged the man with. And I think the major mistake the government did was to add that RICO charge. Add the RICO charge. I think that was the major mistake that they made because call him what you want, and some things a lot of things legitimate, deviant, a devier, a abuser, physical violence, all that. Yep, sure enough. Is he the leader of a criminal enterprise? Huh? These crimes that he committed, were they in the furtherance of a criminal enterprise? No. How you gonna get RICO? Okay, so anyway, so that was a letter from Deonte. And then we have a letter from Cassie's attorney. Now, Cassie's attorney had a lot to say after this verdict. And a lot of what he said sounded kind of strange to me. He was talking about how Cassie was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically how she was a hero. How she, was courageous and how she did all the things and all of that. I would have thought as Cassie's attorney that he would have expressed disappointment right after the verdict, especially with them not finding him guilty on the trafficking charge for her. But no, he was doing this PR thing of like, she's a hero and she has done so many things for women now, and she should be looked upon as a hero. That's what he did. All I know, there's a lot more conversations to be had about some of these players. in this whole situation. All right. So let's take a look at what Cassie's lawyer wrote. And what he wrote was also very, very brief, similar to, well, way even briefer than what the defense attorney had to say. He said, "We write as counsel for Cassandra Ventura to respectfully request that the court deny Mr. Combs to be released pending his sentencing on his two convictions. Pursuant to the Bail Reform Act." Okay. Pursuant to the Bail Reform Act. Where did I drop? Okay. Detention is mandatory post conviction on these charges. And Miss Ventura believes that Mr. Combs is likely to pose a danger to the victims who testified in this case, including herself, as well as to the community. We thank the court for its time and attention to this matter. Oh, so I don't know if they said pursuant to the bail reform, detention is mandatory post conviction on these charges. Uh, we'll see if that's true. If that's true, I guess he will be detained. If it's maybe not as he writes it here, but Diddy has already been in jail since what? Last June, July? No, I'm sorry, last September. He was arrested in September. So what is that? Woo. He's going on 10 months of being incarcerated. So I don't know anything about that statute, how legit it is, or if there's some exceptions, if then but statements. I have no ideas. But we'll find out at 5 o'clock where the judge stands on all of this. But he said that Cassie believes that Mr. Combs is likely to pose a danger to the victims who testified in this case, including herself. Now, Cassie, I don't believe you, Cassie. Prior to you filing the civil suit, you had been separated from Diddy for a while. What was it? I think they officially broke up at 2018. She filed the civil suit, I think, in 2023. No harm came to her husband, that I am aware of or that was expressed in court. I'm sorry for you and Deonte and any of them other people that you got up there to testify, especially Bonner, because Bonner to me was straight up. Either I believe that child was still on drugs. Okay. I don't understand how they think that the judge would say we're going to keep Diddy in jail because you guys are afraid of him, even though he's been found not guilty of the most serious charges. I don't see how that works. But again, at 5 o'clock, we will know. What time is it now? Let's see. It's 3:18. So at least 5 o'clock, I know they're supposed to be back at court, and we're going to see where it goes from there. I believe there is a huge possibility that Diddy is going home today, and under certain conditions. And I feel like he's probably going to be home until uh there's a sentencing for him. And so I'll just say this because I'll be back at 5. And hopefully you all can join me back then, and we'll see what goes on with the judge. But the ball is literally in court, in Diddy's court now. Literally again. And as much as I think too bad, Deonte, I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, hit up Cassie. She got enough now to kind of help you out a little bit. She got 30 million. So, if you're that nervous about it, maybe you need to get out the country for a little while. Take you a little vacay. Because Diddy's not going to be in jail. And even when they get ready to sentence him, I don't see any kind of long sentence at all. It may be time served. He may do a year or two. I just don't see anything significant happening. I definitely don't see them giving him 20 years. Because each count that he was convicted of comes with a maximum of 10 years. All that being said, the ball is in Diddy's court because, again, in agreement with Deonte, Diddy does have a track record of getting out of some hellified mess and not learning a lesson. He has a big track record of that. And so we're going to see what he does with this chance. We're going to see if he does. And, and we will only really see it if he, uh, I'm sorry, I was reading the note, the comment. We will only see if Diddy has changed by whether or not he gets pressed for any more criminal charges in the future. At this point, I'm not even really counting the civil cases because there's so many civil cases. How do you sort it out? Like some of them might be true, some of them probably not true, just whatever. They'll all that work out, however that's gonna work out. But if Diddy doesn't understand that with this chance, because this is a win for him, make no mistake about it. This is a win for him. This is a win for his family. If he comes out of there and continues to show his ass and act like he doesn't realize that he's been saved yet again from a horrendous consequence, what do you say? I mean, because I would have been fine. Actually, I would have been fine with him going to jail this time because he's done a lot of effed up things. So I would have been fine with him going. I didn't want him going to jail on RICO. Now let me be clear on that. Because they applied to Diddy today. Who do they apply that to tomorrow? Who does not have Diddy resources to fight against a trumped up RICO charge? So I didn't want him to go down for that. But if he had went down for trafficking of Cassie, and then of course the prostitution charges, which to me were always slam dunk charges, I didn't think he should be convicted of anything according to Jane, because Jane is nobody's victim child. Stop it, girl. No. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna have to see if Diddy can keep himself out of trouble. We're gonna have to see. I hope he can, for his family's sake. We will see. If we go by his past behavior, the odds are not in his favor. Callie said, I heard his ex-bodyguard said he's leaving the country if didn't get acquitted. If the country didn't get acquitted. Okay. Well, I guess you meant if Diddy got acquitted. Well, I guess somebody better start packing. I guess. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens this afternoon. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the days ahead. Of course, we already got trolling from 50 Cent. What did he say? I think he said Diddy is a bad man. He said he's like the gay John Gotti or something like that. I think he said. Aubrey O'Day, of course, is already commenting. She was like, wow, I can't believe this. I feel sick to my stomach. I'm about to throw up. Bootsy, of course, I saw a video clip of him. I think it was on TMZ where he was happy for the outcome with Diddy. It is going to be interesting to see what celebrities say, because while this was going on, outside of probably Bootsy, Kanye, people really didn't have much to say by way of support of Diddy, and I totally understand that. And I don't think there's going to be like a mass rush of celebrities to stand by him now. I mean, we still got the tape from the video from the elevator. We still, from the hotel with him beating up Cassie. We still got that. We still got all this stuff we know now that we did not need to know. We did not need to know what y'all were doing in these freak offs and what you like to do with stuff the male escorts leave behind on your nipples. That is stuff we did not need to know. You're nasty. Nasty. Okay. So we ain't gonna be able to forget that anytime soon, Diddy. Diddy does not strike me as the type who's gonna come out of this and hide his head in the sand. He does not strike me as that type at all. His lawyers are probably going to advise him, do not come out here making any kind of grand statements before it comes back to bite you in your ass. And like all these civil cases that you still have pending. And since the government is also extra salty right now because you got off of that RICO charge, you better act right. We'll see if Diddy listens. And one other thing I thought about too, especially the jury's decision on the trafficking case with Cassie. because I'm glad the jury saw what we saw or what we were able to read and what we had access to about Jane. Like, Jane, get up out of here, girl. No. But with Cassie and with the questions they had while they were deliberating, one thing we have to remember is that unlike the jury, we did not see any of those explicit videos. We didn't. From what I understand, the jury watched like maybe hours of those explicit videos. And from what I understand, the government was showing videos where it may look like the women are not all there. They're a bit, spaced out. They may be a bit under the influence of some type of substance in order to try to support. See, there's coercion. And then the defense was showing snippets from these videos that looked like these women were into it. At the end of the day, the jury said he is not guilty of S tracking Jane, or I'm sorry, did I say S tracking? I meant trafficking. He is not guilty of S trafficking Jane, and he is not guilty of S trafficking Cassie. So does that mean the jury said it was consensual? Well, they will have to say they're clearly saying it was not coercion or force. They're clearly saying that. So I can't wait for some of these jurors hopefully to talk and just tell us exactly what were they thinking, how did certain pieces of information strike them, how did they land on the decisions they landed on. I can't wait to start hearing from them. I'm sure out of the 12 and out of the alternates, somebody's going to talk to the public. But anyway, that's an update, y'all. That's an update. Callie, thank you so much for being here and leaving so many comments. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's so much more fun when I'm like, oh, somebody's here with me. I'm still new at this. Somebody is still here with me and they're engaging with me. Yay. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very, very much. All right, y'all. Thumbs up the video. If you're watching this after the live is over, please feel free to drop a comment on what your thoughts are about all these letters that people are sending to the judge to say, I know Diddy been found not guilty, but we scared. And we would really like if you could find it in your heart to keep him incarcerated. So what y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? I love to know. Thank you. And so I'll be back, like I said, at 5. We'll see what goes down then, if Diddy's actually going home today or not, or if he's going to be incarcerated a little while longer. We'll see. Who would have thought that Diddy might be home on July 4th? Wow. Until the next time. Bye, y'all.